Okay, so today we're going to talk about some absolute key examples to being the leader. And we're going to use Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors, and her example where she says, good ideas don't have hierarchy. Okay, so of the many roles she's held at General Motors, one of the most impactful was managing the Detroit plant over a decade ago. To her, an assembly plant is a work of art with thousands of people working in concert to build very complicated, high technical, and beautiful designed vehicles. At that time, sales of the large sedans they were building at DHAM, as the plant is known, were declining, and they had to make a very painful but necessary decision to temporarily reduce production and their workforce. They didn't plan well, and the reduction in production caused many issues. They struggled daily to produce quality vehicles at the required rate. After about a month or so, her leadership team met to talk about what changes they could drive to meet their commitments in quality, productivity, workplace safety, and other measures. The minute they were aligned on their goals, they began to see improvements. She was happy to report later that DHAM assembly lines were rolling just fine and preparing for exciting new models like the next gen Chevrolet Volt, extended range electric, and their all new luxury sedan, the Cadillac CT6. Every executive leads differently. She likes to solicit ideas and input from her team because inclusiveness rallies employees around a shared vision and ensures solutions are evaluated from every angle in both good and challenging times. She has been known to say, good ideas don't have hierarchy. No matter your industry, ideas can come from anywhere, from the line, from the retail floor, or at your engineering center. Each person sees the work differently, and their perspectives are invaluable. Of course, consensus is not always appropriate, possible, or realistic. She knows when it's time to step in and make the final call. At my company, Miller and Company, a set of core values and our purpose align every leader's decision making, not just mine. They also convey our expectations for employee behavior. Chief among them is our vow to put the customer at the center of everything we do. This keeps us focused on doing the right thing for our customers all the time, not just during a crisis. In addition to leading on behalf of our customers, integrity consistently guides my leadership and decision making. As I tell my children, the truth will set you free. It won't make a negative situation go away, but facing the truth is the best way to address it. As leaders, it's always important to remember that we're not just judged on the setbacks we face. What matters is how we deal with them to forge ahead. And always remember, bad news does not get better with time. Okay, so take this example using the CEO of General Motors and also my own little example I just gave, and implement that into your leadership style, how it fits best for you. Okay, all right, up next, we're going to discuss some leadership failures. Okay, some leadership failures to really pay attention to. Okay, so we're going to be talking about four leaders in their industries and their failures that they've went through, and these are meant to be some really good learning examples for you. So we're going to talk about Bill Gates, Stephen King, Steve Jobs, and Walt Disney. So failure is a necessary experience if you want to eventually be successful. That may seem like a illogical statement, since failure and success are generally considered complete opposites. However, the experience of failure is both enlightening and motivating as long as you view it with the right perspective. Learning from your mistakes and working harder to achieve your goals are both important ingredients in finding success. In the moment, failure can range from disheartening to devastating depending on the severity of the experience. As a young professional or an entrepreneur or anybody trying to achieve something significant, failure has the potential to hold you back indefinitely, but only if you let it. take inspiration from the hundreds of radically successful individuals who reached their peak only after multiple rounds of significant failure. Here are just a few of their stories. So Bill Gates. Bill Gates is one of the most recognized figures in the tech industry, responsible for creating Microsoft and currently standing as one of the wealthiest people on the planet. Many people attribute his success to a kind of luck or sudden twist of fortune. He has a great idea at just the right time during the technology boom and got rich developing it to perfection. But the reality is, Bill Gates experienced a crushing failure before he had anything to do with Microsoft. Originally, Gates created a product called Traf-O-Data, which analyzed data from traffic tapes. The product didn't work properly and the company never took off, so Gates decided to try something else. Here's the lesson. Traf-O-Data never had any hope of being successful, but that was no reflection on Gates' potential. If your idea, even though it seems great, doesn't pan out the way you thought it would, remember that you still have plenty of ideas and opportunities ahead of you. Okay? So, next, let's talk about Stephen King. One of the most recognized novelists of the modern era, Stephen King is widely regarded as a master of horror writing. Despite now having dozens of financially, critically, and popular successful titles in circulation, King's first novel, Carrie, was almost a failure. The novel was rejected 30 times before it was finally accepted and published, leading to King's breakout career. King considered quitting, and many people would have quit, but his perseverance led to greatness. So, what's the lesson? Simple adjustments can turn a failure into a success. Revising your idea, targeting a different audience, or refining your brand identity could all easily take a failed concept and turn it into something more successful. Okay, up next, let's talk about Steve Jobs, a mastermind of technological innovation and corporate vision. Steve Jobs is responsible for making Apple the company it is today. However, his past is littered with failure, setbacks, and crushing defeats. Jobs started Apple in 1976 and the company began to take off. But after an unsuccessful product launch in 1985, Jobs was kicked out of his own company. Most ordinary people would have given up at that point, but instead, Jobs founded a new company called Next. Next was considered unsuccessful as well, at least for a time, until it caught the eye of a struggling Apple in 1997. Apple purchased the company and bought Jobs back into a leadership position, which he used to develop and launch Apple's breakthrough products, including the iPhone, iPod, and iPad. What's the lesson? Perseverance is everything. Because he committed himself to doing great things, Jobs was able to work past his personal and professional failures and eventually leave behind a monumental and unprecedented legacy. Lastly, let's talk about Mr. Walt Disney. Today, Disney is an entertainment giant of nearly unfathomable scale. It holds hundreds of properties, including Marvel Studios and Star Wars franchise, and continues producing record-setting films and operating theme parks around the globe. Behind the initial company was the innovative, imaginative genius of Walt Disney himself. While many people recognize his earliest success films, few know the difficulties he faced prior to making them. Disney's first animation studio was dissolved, and Disney could not afford to pay his rent. Even after the successful premiere of Snow White, many of Disney's early movies, classics like Pinocchio and Fantasia, were financial failures. So, what is the lesson? The strength of an idea cannot be objectively measured by its relative success or failure. Most of Disney's earliest films are considered masterpieces, even though commercially they were objective failures. Even Disney's first studio, which went under, likely produced some amazingly high quality work. The next time you experience failure on a small or large scale, remind yourself that you're in good company. In your own life, ask anyone you feel has been successful in achieving their goals or living their dream if they've ever experienced failure. The answer is inevitably yes. Failure is never the end of the road. It is only a small step in the greater journey. Pick yourself up, Learn what you can from the experience and force yourself to move on and lead yourself into success. Hope you took a lot away from these two examples. And at the end of the day, apply these leadership principles and grow, scale, and win.